Hello everybody, welcome back to an edition of the EcoStruxure Control Expert training. I'm your host, Leandro Man, and in this video what we're going to see is how we can configure the NUA card for having OPC UA server on the Modicon M580. So let's go to the software. Okay, so I'm going to start a new project. So, new project. I'm going to select the M580 4040 CPU I have with me. So if this one starts, 4040, I have this slot. Okay. On this part, I'm not going to use the application password, but what we need to do is to go to project settings, properties, and change this, change password, FW download, and use whatever you want. In my case, it's going to be administrator 1 after it, administrator 1 after it. Okay, change this one, web user, administrator, maybe I put it wrong, administrator 1, administrator 1. Okay, good. Okay, we just need to apply this, otherwise you will receive a message there with an error. Okay, so here on the CPU we need to double check the version of the software. In my case, I'm using the latest one, using Control Expert 16.2. This is not the CPU I have. The power supply is this one. Now here what I'm going to do is to replace the rack because it was this one, the smaller one. I'm going to add new device here, and I'm going to use the communication for NUA. This one is the one I have. So okay, brilliant, good. Here you can see that I have a port, okay, which is the control port, but I have also the possibility to use the backplane port, okay, that needs to be on the same network as the M580 configuration. Okay, on the control port side needs to be different. Okay, there are different ways to configure this and different architectures, and I'm going to mention it, but I'm just going to explain how to make the configuration here. Then it will be independent from the architecture I'm going to use later. So first I'm going to change the IP address of the CPU. So in my case, I'm going to unlock the security. Of course, I recommend you to use filter and use the HTTPS. But in my case, as an example, I'm going to use full access unlock security. In my case, I'm using 1.58, 1.59 for the call for the service and for the Rio ports, and this is 1. Okay, and TP service port enable. Okay, that part's fine. So I have configured the IP address for the CPU. Okay, close. Now I'm going to save this. PRC M580 anyway. Good. So here, if you double click on the NUA, we have a possibility to enable the control port, use the IP version 4, okay, or IP version 6. Okay, depend on the architecture that you want. This is the configuration that you need. Okay, because I don't remember right now, but I believe if you use IP version 6, then you can also use the backplane port. Otherwise, if you use this one, it doesn't use the other one. So I will be cover that on a different video, the different architectures. It's probably going to be the much easier way. So here I'm going to assign an IP address in the same network. as the M580 because this is the backplane port, so it needs to be the same one. So in this case, it's going to be the 60. Okay, something I already defined before. And by default, the port is going to be 4840. Okay, if you want something different, select here, but in my case, I'm going to use the default 4840. You can create the NTP. I got a feeling in my network is this one, but I will probably need to check that later. It's not on this course. So validate, and that should be it for the configuration of the UA. Just need to make sure if you're going to use the backplane port or the control port, which is the one in the front, that needs to be in a different network compared with the backplane. Otherwise, you will receive an error on the output window. Now, how we can share variables. Okay, so I'm going to create a project here, new section, OPC UA. Let's start if enable, then and if I'm going to use some counter plus 1. Yeah, just something that start counting with the cycle of the PLC. Then if X reset, counter is going to be 0. Okay, something like that. So I'm going to create the variables now. Boolean. It's gonna be integer. And reset, create variable. Oops. Reset. Okay, so I created the 3 variables. You can create any other variables, a DDT or whatever you want. It's just an example. So the variables would be here. It's going to be here. Okay. You can select DDT, device DDT, and you should be able to see everything here. So what we recommend is to select the variable you want to share. Okay, just to have a filter and select as a HMI. So in case you want to organize when you have a lot of variables, you just select the one for HMI. Now you have selected this. The OPC UA module works with the data dictionary. So the variables that are selected for data dictionary, the one for the HMI, will be the ones that's going to be shared or will be available on the M580 server. So what we need to do now is project settings, PLC embedded data, select data dictionary, okay, and let's select only the HMI variables, which are the ones that we really want to share. And then, okay, now that we have this, it's time to download to the controller and see what happens. Okay, so PLC set address, going to use small TCP 192.168.1.58, which is the one that I have. Yes, okay. I'm going to connect, and I'm going to disconnect. I'm going to compile everything and see if there is any errors. Hopefully it isn't, which is good. Now I'm going to connect. I'm going to download this. Okay, so everything is booting up. Okay, just wait a second. Okay, so now we have this working, which is totally fine. Now, let's open this. Okay, let's add this an animation table. Notification. Okay, sure. I press this one. You can see it's running, it's doing something, which is fine. So the logic is fine. Now, what we need to do is to define how we are going to communicate. How is going to be the security mode on the OPC UA. So if I open the presentation here, so in the back part of the OPC UA, we have a rotary switch. This is for the security. So depend on the mode, if it's a standard, which is need to point to these two in the left side or the bottom, it's going to be the standard, and if you point to the right, it's going to be the advanced or secure. Advanced is on the previous version, previous product version. On the newer version, you have the secure label there. Okay, so depending on the selection, you have different user and password. Those user and password are to access into the web server of that OPC UA model. Okay, so depending on the selection, you have different users. Okay, I was already explained, or it's going to be explained later, how to access to the web server and how to change the firmware of the OPC UA model. So we got this. Now let's try to access to the web server. In my case, it's in the secure mode. Okay, so I would probably need to use admin and password, but I have already access to it and I have created a different user, so it's gonna be a different one. Okay, so let's take a look on the web browser. So I need to access .1.60. Okay, and now it's not going to work because it already changes, but as soon as you use the basic admin and the password, it will ask you to change the password. Okay, and I believe I created this from one. Okay, administrator 1 exclamation mark I've used. The important thing is that you need to understand this. You need to understand this. Okay, depending on the selection rotary switch, you have different users. On this one, there is no need to change the password. On this one, yes, it's mandatory to change the password, and you can probably need to add another level in order to do more things. So here is the advanced or the secure way. On the standard, you have the home and diagnostics, and that's it. On this one, we have how we want to communicate with how we can want to work with the OPC UA. So on the server security, we have the access control, and I have created different users. I created administrator, which is install opera engineer. It also allow me to make the firmware update. That's why I created a new one. In the standard, there's no need to do this. So here are the settings, OPC UA. Here you define how you want to work with the client. Okay, so here in my case, I had defined none, but if you want to do something different, just sign, submit, or change this based on the application level that you need to. Okay, in this case, it's none. I changed that. By default, it's already with different things. Yes, I have already by default on this, the IPsec is on and the server forwarding is on, so I put it up enough. Okay, so this is some of the initial things that we need to do. So what I'm going to do now is to use the UA expert just to check. So here I just need to close, add. I'm going to delete this one, the one I used before. So add server. It's going to be 192.168.1.60 because it's the pacman port of the OPC UA, not the IP address of the M580 service port that I'm going to use to communicate. And then here, we just need to use the 4840, which is the one that we have defined over here, which is the default. In my case, I'm using the service port to communicate to the whole network. So if everything goes well, we should be able to see the ENUA. There is no security at all. Okay, set it here, connect, and I see the 3 variables that I have already defined. There we go. So if I go here, and open the control expert. There we go on this one. There we go. This working, is doing something, which is good. Now reset the value. Okay, so it's very simple. Now the variables are available for use any other server or another client. Okay, in this case it's just the UA expert, and probably in other videos I will explain how to do with the OPC UA gateway on OPC UA driver for the Aviva system platform, or the Aviva portfolio of the OCMC. Okay, so this is how we configure the OPC UA card on the M580, how we can access to the website and depend on the, and how we can test if it working using the UA expert software that is third-party Schneider software. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I see you on the next one.